In a hole in the ground, there lived a hobbit.
The original Hobbit film from 1977 is based on the book of the same name by J.R.R. Tolkien, a book that I recently just finished reading for the first time in years. So I thought it would be fun to take a look at the original Hobbit movie, a movie I haven't seen in so long. My dad and I would rent this movie from Blockbuster back in the day, so let's talk about it. This film was actually made by Rankin Boss, who you probably know as the guys who made Christmas classics like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It originally aired on NBC on November 27, 1977. The special was fairly well received, gaining a few awards, but some people had issue with the art style by the Japanese-American co-production team. Others said that the film would be confusing if you weren't already familiar with the plot. And it's hard for me to comment on that particular criticism, since I literally just finished the book earlier today.
How convenient!
But the story starts as it did in the book, with Bilbo sitting outside his home and Gandalf approaching.
Bilbo Baggins?
Yes?
I am looking to hire a burglar.
Burglar? Adventures make one late for dinner.
Enough!
Now, a lot of the dialogue is missing, and we get to the point very quickly. I love how all the dwarves are just chilling behind bushes, waiting for Gandalf to say it's okay to come out. And I actually really enjoyed the voice actor for Gandalf, and the rest of the cast did a really good job too, but Gandalf really stood out to me. He was played by John Huston, and he was also the narrator of the story. One thing I really enjoyed immediately was the music. I thought it was actually pretty awesome, and it had a really great atmosphere all on its own, really adding to the movie overall. Now, while the dwarves are quickly introduced, Bilbo is offered the job as a burglar. Then, after only about 10 minutes, they are off on the adventure. Now, the dwarves don't really have much screen time or time devoted to them in general, mainly just Thorin, and he doesn't get much focus till the very end of the movie. Like, the dwarves are obviously there the entire movie, but there's just not much focus on them at any time. Now, the story continues at a brisk pace. We see the encounter with the trolls, the short trip to Rivendell, then we are up in the mountains where they were captured by goblins. Again, I love the music that started when Gandalf had them make their escape.
Gandalf! Good old Gandalf!
Follow me, quickly!
And this is also when Bilbo gets separated. And this is where Gollum comes into the story. He has a very unique design here. You know, I'm accustomed to the designs of the Peter Jackson movies, and I found all the different interpretations in this movie very fascinating. Now, not too long ago, I read Anything You Can Imagine, Peter Jackson and the Making of Middle-earth. In that book, if I'm remembering correctly, they mentioned that the portrayal of Gollum here was seen as the iconic version of the character till Andy Serkis, even reprising the role in the Lord of the Rings radio drama where, fun fact, Ian Holmes, who played Bilbo in the Lord of the Rings, played Frodo in the radio broadcast. He also returned for the animated Return of the King film. Alright, quick update. I was wrong. It was Peter Woodthorpe who voiced the character in the radio drama, and he played Gollum in the Ralph Bakshi animated Lord of the Rings. Anyway, they do their iconic game of riddles, and then Bilbo makes his escape. They are pursued by goblins up into the trees and then are saved by the eagles. Now, one glaring omission from this movie is the character Bjorn. They skip straight to entering Mirkwood Forest. A lot of the events in the forest are kind of glossed over. We don't see them there very long until the spiders arrive, and I really like the design of the spiders. They look pretty cool, but like in the books, Bilbo uses the ring to save the day, and they are eventually saved by the Wood Elves and then captured by them. The elves definitely have a look I wasn't expecting. Again, really cool seeing the different versions of Tolkien's creation. Now, they aren't captured long and escape extremely quickly. Then it's off to Lake Town, where we briefly meet Bard the Bowman, then we are off to the mountain. Now, when Bilbo enters the mountain and sees the dragon, you'll notice that Smaug looks a lot like a cat, and I honestly think that's actually a really cool design. He had a cool voice, and I enjoyed that whole part, but then, Bilbo takes a cup, makes his escape, and Smaug freaks out and decided to take it out on the people of Lake Town.
This breeze is strangely warm for autumn.
And another missing item in this movie is the Arkenstone. It's not here at all. Bard kills the dragon, the people of Lake Town and the elves join forces off-screen and demand the dwarves give them some of the gold in the mountain. They refuse, and so begins the battle of the three armies once the dwarf army arrives.
Who's that old man?
And Gandalf just randomly shows up in the middle of the battle before the armies clash to tell them that an army of goblins is on their way, and then everything is forgiven, everyone's friends again.
O great Elf King, my truest friend and ally, we must join our forces against this common scourge.
And then the eagles arrive, making it the battle of the 5 armies.
5 armies now?
The battle looks epic. Just take a look at this clip. But, Bilbo's knocked out, and then when he wakes up, he is told that only 6 dwarves survived?
Of our original 13, how many are left?
7.
From Thorin's party. It's a weird change when only 3 died in the book, but Bilbo goes home with his share, and that's the end of the movie. Honestly, this movie was pretty enjoyable. I liked the look of the movie, enjoyed the music. My main problem is that this movie moved at such a quick pace, didn't really give any time for any scenes or characters to really breathe. It's like the opposite of what people complain about the Peter Jackson Hobbit trilogy, where people complain that those movies were too long, and this movie is definitely too short, but it's still a fun movie, and for a made-for-TV movie from the 1970s, I'm shocked it's as good as it is. If you're a fan of The Hobbit, Tolkien, I would definitely recommend watching it. Now, Rankin Boss technically made a sequel to their Hobbit film. After the release of the Ralph Bakshi movie, United Artists had a disagreement with him, and they cancelled the planned sequel to his film. After that deal fell through, Rankin Boss made a deal, and they proceeded to produce a television installment of Return of the King, bringing back most of the animation team and voice cast. So we have this weird, unofficial trilogy of movies, and I think that's super interesting. And I'm reading The Lord of the Rings for the very first time right now. Once I finish that, I plan on taking a look at the other animated films. If you've seen the 1977 Hobbit film, let me know what you thought.
The story has not ended, but is only beginning.